Okay, got it. Okay.
Alphabetical order.
All right.
That's what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
works for me. Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm Angelique Martinier. I'm located here in Los Angeles, and I am all about helping entrepreneurs really scale in the sense of taking whatever their area of expertise is and packaging that into a digital product. So that's what I do day in, day out. In addition to do that, I also help them. A lot of entrepreneurs I found they don't quite have certain things in order when they're looking to scale themselves, like, retirement. And so I'm also helping them in that regard, just making sure that they have something in place so that once you hit that, 65, 70, when you might not be wanting to get on the camera every day, have something in place so that you will have an income stream still coming in while you're making all this money now. Why don't you make sure that you're doing something with it? So I help them package it and then also help them look into their future. So that's what I do.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love to let people know how I know these folks. So Angelique was actually my first coach. I found her in a Facebook group. And at the time I was like, what was it, $3,000 or something? I mean, y'all can't even get a phone call for that rate today. But back then I was like, 3 G's. Let me tell you, that 3 G's turned into multiple $100,000. I knew how to do courses on the corporate side and like how to basically turn your process, like your onboarding and your flow of your customer experience into a course to digitize it. I was doing that like 15 years ago, but I didn't really understand productization of your knowledge and selling it on the internet. I found Angelique randomly. Her group name was Financially Free Female Entrepreneurs. I joined her group, and one of the questions was, "Are you ready to be financially free?" I'm like, "Girl, I hate this job." Yes. 2 calls later, maybe literally less than an hour, she was my coach, and we have been exchanging resources and referring and making money together for like 5 years now. So your coach can become your referring partner. Is just unlimited potential. My name is Chanel Rose, and some people call me the money honey. I am on the revenue side of businesses. You've probably heard business development, revenue management, chief fractional officer. I am the person you come to when you're like, I got this idea, I need to make money, or I'm making money, I need to make more. So it's emphasis on the I'm ready for more in terms of making money in your business. On the small end, it's sales campaigns. On a much bigger scale, I've come into corporations and launched whole verticals for their business. And because we're in the revenue, we ain't everybody business. Okay. So we on the digital side, we on the product side, and we turn all of that into a consistent, scalable, systemized approach to growing your business. So that's me in a nutshell. And next we have Lena.
Hey everyone, my name is Lena Castle. I'm the founder of the Professional Speakers Concierge Service. And what we do is we provide professional speakers a white glove experience. And so I know event producers and event organizers care about the audience experience. Our goal is to ensure that the guest speaker has their own separate experience. And so, what that looks like is a little bit of strategy, and we look at profitability and how we marry the two for our clients. And so, really happy to be here. And yeah, looking forward to staying connected with a lot of the people that are on here right now. So, yay.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Star.
Hi, everyone. I am Shamar Starcox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners get seen and get paid by creating binge-worthy videos on social media. Our goal is to help you build out your marketing system and your sales system so that when you are putting out the content, you're attracting people with your story and your messaging. You also know how to funnel them from the platform into your email list, into your program, into your offer.
Listen, succinct. That's how you know she in marketing, right? Like I'm a yapper, so I want to talk a lot. Okay. So I had another question I was going to ask first, but I always like to start with like the negative and end with the positive. So my first question is, what's the worst piece of advice you've received as an entrepreneur in terms of like growing your business? And we're going to start in reverse alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Star and work our way around.
Why did I know I was going to be first? And I was sitting here like, what am I going to say? I don't know. I just want to talk about that one time that this happened. Okay. Worst advice I ever, you know what? I can't really say it's the worst advice. It just did not work for me. Right. So I had built my platform with organic marketing, which means that I posted my content through videos and lives. I was able to build a 6-figure business. I helped hundreds of coaches and business owners be able to do their marketing online. And then I had someone who kept telling me, they were constantly in my ear, they kept telling me, run ads, run ads. Because if you run ads, it's just going to add fuel to the fire because your organic is already so great. So I'm like, I should totally run ads. Even though in my mind, I low key really wanted to hire an email marketer, like someone who can just focus on my copy. But I just kept hearing like, it'll add fuel to the fire. You'll be able to make so much more money. Just run the ads, right? And so like we tested bartering services with each other. And during the bartering, I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. So that should have been a red flag, right? But it wasn't for me. So so anyway, we're done. We get some numbers and he's like, all right, this is how much it's going to cost to run the ads. And I choose to run the ads. So I'm like, I trust this person. Let's do it. Son, I ran them ads for 6 months. I paid $1,800. This includes how much I paid the person and how much I had to pay for the ads. I ran it for 6 months. Ask me how much money we made. Any one of you, just ask me how much money we made.
How much did you make?
Possibly less than $300 for
Wow.
6 months. Well, we were bringing people in like crazy. We were bringing people in, but what was happening is they were coming in and they weren't buying. And I wasn't accustomed to that. And that I took a hit to my confidence because of that. And I had to let it go and shift back into organic because I make more money converting people organically than I ever did with ads. So now I have a bad taste in my mouth with ads. I hear people saying that they do so good with ads. And I'm like, grr.
We're gonna overcome that, right? Because you have to invest for success. Miss Lena, what's the worst piece of advice somebody gave you about scaling your business?
I just lump it all together is the people that don't know and understand my business and they're not growing their own business and they haven't scaled anything. And so I've taken advice from those who just weren't at that level or couldn't understand the vision that I had. So a lot of people may say, hey, instead of saying the word support or use this word. And, a lot of times how you are to come off in your business, the words that you use, there's a reason for that. And I know what God placed in my heart of how to serve and support those who are high performing leaders. And so um, it's so funny when people say, hey, you need to slow down or you're doing a whole lot. If you're not running as fast as me, I'm not taking your advice. If we're not making this, like, it's really hard for me to be able to take advice when you haven't gotten to the place that I'm trying to go, or you understand the vision that God has given to me in my business. And so, yeah, I think just lumping it all together, those who have tried to provide advice on things that they don't even know about themselves, or, yeah, things that they don't even know about themselves, and the position that they would want me to be in, they haven't, even accumulated that or experienced that for themselves. And so I've had to be mindful of just guarding and protecting the vision, or just being able to nod my head nicely and know that I'm not taking the advice. So, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. So, what's the worst piece of advice I got? I'll give y'all two. The first one is, so my background's in politics, right? So I ran and won political campaigns. And with that comes a great deal of responsibility and controversy. And in the beginning of my career, I was advised to take it off of my LinkedIn, don't talk about it. And so for a very long time, I didn't talk about it. I didn't provide any context. And so in the beginning of my business, and even like when I was ready to scale, I always want to tell people, like, listen, nobody's going to brand you better and make you more profitable than me. Like, it doesn't exist, because I've had to be the whole business every time. So when you run a campaign, you start a business over. Even if it's been there, you have to scale it because you have to win again. And no two wins look alike. Just like in basketball, any sport, no two wins look the same. And so you can have the skills, right? And hopefully over time you get better, but essentially it doesn't look the same. And so I think that the worst advice I ever had was to like not talk about that, and also not talk about that I got fired from my job. my last job, I was fired. I remember somebody saw my content and was like, "Don't be telling people that. If you want to go back into the job force, anybody can Google you and find out you got fired." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I'm not hiding that, but that really, like, it chipped away at my confidence, and I started to develop this, like, weird experience where I didn't want to talk about myself, and so I would just, like, have a hard time showing up because I felt like who I was off limits, and not in a, like, privacy kind of way, but in a shame sort of way. And so I developed this really, really bad habit of not telling people that. And now I'm like, you're not paying me to talk about politics, so I'm not going to talk about it. Like, I'm totally okay. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm like, all right, vibes. Like, I'm not even going to allow you to penetrate the part of my brain that deals with that kind of thing. But I would say that was the worst advice I ever got. And now, ironically, when I have conversations about me getting fired, I've gotten brand partnerships from people who are like, oh crap, I got fired from my last job and that's how I got here. Or I had this thing happen and that's how I got here. And they want to support me. The worst piece of advice I would say, in succinctly, is pretend to be somebody that you're not. And that cost me a lot of sleepless nights. And now I'm just like, whatever, take it, leave it, love it, hate it. That's on you. um, so, Angelique, what's the worst piece of advice you've gotten about scaling your business?
I would say when everybody was telling me in the beginning, like, you need multiple streams of income. You got to be doing. So I was doing affiliate marketing. I was doing network marketing. I was doing courses. I was doing all of the things, drop shipping, like everything. And I have found for me, and this would be maybe controversial and against what everybody else is saying, when you focus on one thing and get good at one thing, then maybe you can start. But to try to do everything at one time, I just wasn't successful at it. I wasn't good at anything. It wasn't until I really honed in on one thing, went hard at one thing, that I actually started making money. When I was doing all the things, I was making a little bit here, a little bit there, but it wasn't anything that was consistent, and I wasn't able to live off of it. So again, might not go along with what everybody else is telling you to do right now, but for me, multiple streams of income didn't work out for me. And if you can find something where you're focused on one thing and you can branch off from that thing, I think that's probably when you might do the best. Again, that's just from my perspective.
Oh, that's perfect, because that is a hot take. And you and I have had conversations about that in the past too. And Angelique is I want to put her business out there. Let's just say she lives well. She's in LA in her nice car today. So I want to start. This is perfect order. Because by you only selling one type of thing and not having multiple products, or upsell or downsell, how did you know it was time to scale in your business? And what did that look like for you?
So I knew it was time to scale. And when I think about scaling, I know scaling is different to everybody. I needed to bring somebody else on. So that to me was scaling. Actually having, it wasn't just going to be me as a solopreneur anymore. I was actually going to have a contract person, not an employee. But I knew when I was staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning to do all the things myself, it was time to scale. It's time to bring somebody else on. And I didn't want to do it. I'll tell you, the first person I actually brought on really was a virtual assistant, and I had tried a virtual assistant before. It didn't work for me, and it's hard when you're used to doing everything by yourself to delegate, because you don't feel like somebody else can do it as well as you can. You don't really trust them. And I remember I was doing all these DMs in LinkedIn, and somebody was like, dude, come on, you gotta give that to somebody else. You're not even in your lane. Like, you're literally answering silly questions. Why are you doing that? And, and because I'm so controlling in that regard. This is my baby. This is my business. This is how I eat. I'm serious about how I eat. So I just didn't want to give that over to somebody. But I knew when I was staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning DMing people, that made no sense, that I needed to actually scale in regards to giving that project to somebody else. And when I tell you I made so much money, like hundreds of thousands, just by giving her that task, like, I wish I would have done it so much earlier, but I didn't. I just didn't know. And that's not to say every other thing I've done has worked out for me that well. That everything hasn't. There's certain things I've tried didn't actually work out, but that's something that actually did work out. Was And I knew it was time because I was staying up too late and I was doing monotonous tasks where I wasn't in my zone of genius. I was doing things that somebody else could be doing much better than I can, and she was better at it. Tracking it, she was crushing it. Tracking people to follow up with, I wasn't tracking like she was tracking. So that's how I knew it was time for me to scale. I was spending too much time doing monotonous tasks that I didn't need to be doing.
Ooh, I love that. So I guess alphabetical order, that's me next. How did I know it was time to scale? I kept hitting income limits. So at some point, I realized that me doing it was only going to get me so far. And similar to Angelique, I was like, I got to hire somebody to get some of this stuff off my plate. And I enjoy the stuff that I had to take off. So that was even harder for me. I love being in DMs. I'm a yapper. I love talking on the phone. So all the parts of the business that I had to hand off were, in my opinion, what made my business successful. And I failed a lot. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to you like the first VA I got was magical, and that I did things well. I want to be very transparent and say I failed as a leader. I failed as a manager. I failed creating SOPs. I failed at like vetting people and hiring them. It was a very weird period where I basically hired like a junior me when I really wasn't. I was hiring a VA and was expecting them to be a junior me. So answer things how I would, do things how I would, be a fast learner, take over all other parts of the business that I didn't want to deal with, and like do it efficiently for $4 an hour, right? And so I quickly learned that I had to hire a team, and for me to be able to scale, it was recognizing other people's talents and admitting the fact that like the person who sends the DMs is not the person who's going to engage. The person who creates remember back in the day we used to have those little square flyers. That's not going to be the same person who's answering the DMs. That's too much for one person to absorb. And I knew every time it was time to scale when things weren't getting done that needed to get done. And so I think for most people, they feel like they're failing if things aren't getting done. And for me, I realize I've hit a limit somewhere. And if I don't allow it to be a limit, it becomes a dead end. And so then things start to fall off my plate. It becomes a leak, and it ends up costing me more money and more time because I'm having to take corrective measures. So a good sign for me to know when it's time to scale is when things aren't working the way they should. And I have all the things in place. Because I'm very honest. Like, I know who I am as a person. And I recognize that I'm not a taskmaster. So things will always fall off my plate. But if I find like I'm giving it to my assistant who's a absolute master tasker, and she's not getting things done, I'm like, first of all, is she okay? And if I know she's okay, then I'm like, okay, I need to hire somebody else. So a key component for me is that controversially, things aren't working is how I know I need to scale up. And then next we have Lena.
My answer is really simple. If I need to be touching anything and everything, and I haven't figured out a way to either automate it or delegate it, and I have a list, things that I need to either do and make a decision, or I need to delegate and have someone else do it, or it doesn't need to be on my list at all. But looking at how either it's AI or LLMs that could really look at data and saying, well, this is a repetitive task and these are the things you need to be able to remove from your plate. And then there's things like, how can you have someone to interact with your brand without having to get on a call with you, without taking, all these extra steps? How can we have them sign a contract, get started, and begin implementing and getting the value quicker and faster? And so, me being the bottleneck was the red flag. Like, if I have to touch it, or if I have to approve it, or if I have to do anything, then it's probably going to take us a little bit longer to get money. It's going to take us a little bit longer to get something to close. And so the more I have to touch it, the more that I have to give input, the more that then, okay, we need to figure out how do we change this. And it's just for me, altering the way that we do business and being able to do things faster and quicker, and then more efficient. That's probably in a nutshell, how can we get this done more efficiently? And then when you can be efficient, you can then scale.
Okay, and we're gonna pause because I just saw we're gonna get to you, Star. But Lena, you have a conflict, right? So you got to hop.
Yes.
Okay. um,
For good
so
reasons. For good reasons.
I appreciate it. Listen, we're all business owners and business women. So before you hop, I want to make sure that you take up some space and say how people can work with you, who should be looking to work with you, and what's the first step they need to take.
Yeah. So the first thing is prospeakerservice.com is where you can go to our website. And that just shows you at least for, and these are for professional speakers that are revenue generating, high performing. You're not looking for events. You already know where you're going to be speaking and you need that type of level of support. But if you put my name in anything, if it's IG, Facebook, or LinkedIn for Lena Castle, you'll be able to find me. And you can always just reach out. You can send a DM. My team is very interactive and can reach out. So even if you're a new speaker and you're like, I just need to know where to start, that's a lot. We have resources as well. So just if you're a new speaker and you're just trying to figure out what do I need to start thinking about to be a revenue generating speaker? People who are doing 6 and 7 figures just speaking, and that's just one arm of their business. It doesn't happen overnight, but there's building blocks to get you there. So if you look at my name and you see it anywhere, just send me a quick DM, and that's probably the best way to quickly connect.
Well, thank you. I know that you have to run. I appreciate you for hopping on today. You will be missed.
Oh my gosh, but these
All right.
ladies are amazing. This trio, like I'm just glad that we've connected in like just our businesses. We are completely different, but when you put all of us together, people can get a lot of value out of these conversations. So I appreciate you, Chanel, for bringing us together.
Yeah, and I know people are like, "Oh, paid speaker." And I'm sure people's ears are ringing. They're like, "Wait a minute, where's she going?" So we will be back again to share more. You'll be seeing more of us together. But you go ahead and keep going. Bye. See you later. All right. So Star, back to you. Ooh, the screen is blue, y'all. I don't know how that happened. Okay.
It was always blue. I kept looking at it. It was always blue. I was like, okay, this is
I don't.
good.
Okay, that's fine.
Tranquility is good, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it's so good that Lena got to join us. So for me, honestly, when I knew that it was time to scale, it happened twice. So the first time I was trying to hit my first 10K month. I'm like, we were so close. Like the first month, we probably hit 7K. The next month was 8K. So I was really believing and working to hit 10K. And when it happened, I actually hit 17K. And I
Wow.
was like, wait a second. I was believing for 10. God said seven more. Okay. That let me know I can do this one. And then it was August of that year. We didn't even hit 6 figures yet, y'all. We did not hit 6 figures yet. But I was like, we were consistent. It was either we were making 8K months, 10K months, 12K, 17K months. And I said, oh, it's time to scale. It's time to get to 20K months. It's time to get to 30K months. Like, who's with me on this? That was my mindset, right? So I know like scaling, it can mean many different things, right? For me, when I talk about scaling, I'm specifically talking about revenue because at the end of the day, if the money ain't coming in, I mean, the IRS is gonna say you have a hobby. Trust me, it happened to me. It happened to me. Some of y'all are like, no, I got a business. No, no, no. IRS told me shut down your business because you ain't making no money. I recognize IRS talks in dollars, right? So for me, that specifically, or we didn't even hit 6 figures yet, and I already knew it was time to scale.
I love that. So now we have a smaller group because originally there was 5 of us. Now we have 3. Okay. So we can take up a little bit more space. Let me ask this. I want to reposition this a bit. So, Angelique, you are a specialist in digital courses and digital products. Okay. Um, there's a lot of conversations around whether or not digitizing your knowledge benefits your business. How do because you've been doing it for 5 years and you've made a lot. And I'm about to tell your business. I'm sure over the last 5 years, your business has gotten very close to hitting the $1 million mark as a lifetime of the business, right? So most people never touch a million. You have crossed over. Okay. So can you share, as somebody who has done it, and I know that it's true to this, in 2025, does it make sense to scale your business with digital products? And if so, what should be like that first step?
Yeah, I would still say, I mean, I could be biased, of course, but I would say yes. I mean, why wouldn't you? Bottom line, I mean, look at AI, look at the world. We do everything online. So, and even, I don't know if you guys have seen this stat, but there's less and less people applying to college right now. You know why? Because you can learn everything online now. Okay. So, so if people are wondering if they should digitize, I'm still going to be a big proponent for it. I can't imagine that it's not going to continue to scale. Courses did what, 325 billion last year, and are on course or on par to do a trillion by 2027 or 2030. We don't know yet. So if this is a model that's going to continue to scale, since we're talking about scaling, why wouldn't you get in now while you still are on the uptrend? So for me, I would say yes, it is going to continue. And where should you get in? Get in where you fit in, kind of where you said, be authentic to who you are. If you know that you have something that you can teach other people, and a lot of people are like, oh, but it's saturated and everybody already does it. Yeah, but so are tennis shoes are saturated. And I don't know if you ever gone down the cereal aisle in the grocery store. It's very saturated. But you know what? There's some new cereal that comes out that does, plant based or adds blueberries, and somehow, some way, like, I don't know if you guys saw, but Nike's stats are down. You know why? Because on that new shoe that came out in Hoka, like, you can still get in somewhere. You might not get to be Nike, but you can still definitely make 6 and 7 and 8 figures with whatever your niche is. You just got to tell your story. Whatever your story is, whether you talk to, Christian women or you talk to soccer dads, figure out what you do great. Talk to those people, they'll buy from you. So, answer your question in a nutshell, I would say yes, I would be a big proponent that this will be a model that will continue to scale, and just figure out where you can get in, where you can differentiate yourself. Talk to those people specifically. If you talk specifically to Christian women, they're going to gravitate towards you. You know who's not? Agnostic women, and it's okay, right? Because you don't need them. Nothing wrong with agnostic women. I'm just saying, you don't need everybody. You just need your niche. If you got 1 million people and they all give you $1, you can make $1 million. So go ahead and get like it's just really that simple. So yes, I love digitizing, and I think you should just get in where you fit in, find your niche, and speak directly to them and their needs, pour into them, and they'll pour back into you.
And I want to piggyback on that and say, like, everything. So I remember in my last corporate job in 2017, I think I got hired, or 2018. So much of it was digital, right? So all of my paperwork was digital. It was automated. My onboarding process was poorly executed, but it was all digital. I'm sure it's seamless now. If you want to truly scale your business to millions and billions, and you want to be a category leader and an industry disruptor, then you have to say yes to digitizing as much as you can, as often as you can. And Star said that, like, water is saturated. I just read something where bread is an industry that hasn't had much. There hasn't been much new bread, bread, like sliced bread, right? And so now there's all these new bread companies that are changing the packaging, changing the ingredients, and it's like this whole new resurgence of literal bread, right? Tortillas, and like there's potato chips, all of these industries that have been around forever, and you have like Frito-Lay and the rest of them that have just had a chokehold, so to speak, and on the industry. And now people are doing random things like box water, or, I mean, I could do this all day, where you may feel like it's saturated. In that bottle is water. Okay, I bought this from the airport yesterday. It was $5. I'm still bitter, but the point is, it's water. You know what else this is? You can't see it. This is also water, right? And so you can spend so much of your time deciding it's saturated, but I think the differentiating factor is that this is like coconut water that's peach flavored or something. It's electrolytes. Like, it's a different experience, and you should be a different experience. And getting into water is expensive, but you know what else is expensive? Waiting. It'll never be as affordable as it is today. Tomorrow, the next day, the price of everything goes up, especially in 2025. So now I want to ask you, Star, a similar question, because a lot of people talk about like digital marketing, and they kind of like thumb their nose at it because they think of like influencers and brand deals, and they just don't really understand it. So as somebody who specializes in digital marketing, you are a TV producer, so you really do understand marketing, mass marketing, because I think that's the thing that people miss, is that digital marketing is mass marketing. Your goal is to get as many people as you can, like eyes on your products, eyes on your person, your brand, everything. In 2025, what is digital marketing, and in reference to scaling, what does it fit in?
That's such a great question. You ask really great questions. So, 2025, I'm just going to give everyone my definition for marketing. So, if you're taking notes, you want to feel free to start taking notes right now. The definition of marketing is to clearly communicate to people how you can help them. That's literally what you're doing with marketing the entire time. Now you just add digital to it, you are doing it digitally. And there are different ways that we can do that: video marketing, social media marketing, email marketing. If it's online, it's digital, right? So all you're doing is clearly communicating to people how you can help them. Here's the thing about business owners who are not online: you're already doing that. You're just doing it on a smaller scale, to less people, to your inner circle. Maybe you have a couple of corporations, maybe you're doing a couple of speaking gigs. Only thing is, many of you have been called to be the next Nike, NBC, and Disney, but you're playing small because you don't want to be online. Disney did not say, you know what? We're not going to open up in different states. We're just going to stay right here because this is where we're comfy. They stepped outside their comfort zone. And so when it comes to digital marketing, that's what we're doing. We're stepping outside our comfort zone. Now, many times business owners, they don't want to do digital marketing, or they want to do it, but they hesitate because when it comes to specifically doing video or social media, there's a fear that you will be judged. But guess what? You're going to get judged anyway. Everyone gets judged. Jesus got judged. When Jesus showed up, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, they always made fun of him. They always tested him. But this is what Jesus did. He stayed focused on his mission. He says, you know what? I have a mission, and I know it's to save the world. And I'm not going to let people deter me. So my question to every business owner who's going to watch this, watching the replay: what is your mission? Make that more important than fear. And like Chanel said, this is mass marketing. Why? Because you were called to reach the masses. There are some people where they can hear me talk and they'll be like, if I could just reach one person. Why would you want to just reach one person? That's totally settling. Jesus did not come off his throne in heaven to reach one person. So why are you coming out your house trying to reach one person? It just don't make sense. Like, for a lot of us, there's a message inside of us. There's a story inside of us that's supposed to reach the masses. Thousands upon thousands should be hearing it, because that's what's going to transform lives. And when we're talking about impact, impact has a number attached to it, whether it's a dollar amount or a follower amount. It has a number attached to it, right? So oftentimes we're playing small when we don't want to do digital marketing, because this is what we're accustomed to. But if you make the priority your mission, which is to make an impact, transform lives, change lives, then it doesn't matter what avenue you use. I'm going to show up anyway, and I'm going to be a blessing to my audience.
I love that. So I want to go back to Angelique. I think that what I love about you and what I've learned about you over time is that you will always find the money. You will always find the audience. You will always figure out how to pivot. I remember in our Clubhouse days, and I figured out how to go do Clubhouse, and we took off, girl. We made so much money. And then again, when we both left Facebook, and I told you, I was like, I'm going to LinkedIn. You was like, okay, me too. And you went first, and you literally paved the way to give me the confidence to reposition myself on LinkedIn when it just wasn't working out. And now I know that you have transitioned into not just digital productization, but you're also doing insurance. And so when I pulled this group together, it was all under like wealth. Like, how are we creating wealth for people in their business? Like, not just money, but wealth, like long-term strategies that have incalculable value for them. And what I know is that you've managed to find another way to support businesses. And I used to work with beginners, and something people were very afraid of is that they could not afford to leave their job because of insurance, life insurance, health insurance. So can you share, because in the vein of scaling, a lot of folks are starting to think about, okay, I'm making money, and now I need to think about like my future, a trust, things like that. What does insurance mean? And in reference to scaling, how does insurance protect us in our scale and also beyond our business?
Yeah, so for the entrepreneur, so a lot of us came from corporate, right? So we had a 401k. That is great. That is wonderful. But for those who have either ventured into entrepreneurship or never had a 401k or never had a corporate job, like, you do have to start to think about, like, I know you're going to hit this lick, right? You're going to make this million, 2 million, 3 million, and then you're going to take that money, right? And you're going to use that for retirement. Now, in case that doesn't happen, it might. But in case it doesn't, or in case, because entrepreneurs, we like to roll the dice a lot. So we might make that 3 million, but we also want to find some new business, some new franchise, some Chick-fil-A we want to invest in, and we're gonna take that 3 million and we're gonna I'm gonna double that. Hey, that is all good and I'm all for it. But we also need to make sure we are doing some safe things that we learned from corporate America, which is put your money into a safe vehicle that can compound for you. Compounding is what? The eighth wonder of the world, I think Einstein said. Compounding. If you put something in and just let it sit there, it's just like if you work out, right? You're not going to see anything the first day, maybe not the first month. But by that third, fourth, fifth month, you start to see some results. That's the same thing with life insurance. So you're going to put something away that's going to work out for you later on down the line. And I would just give you an example, like a whole life policy. That's what I started off with. And I did that when I was in corporate, even though I don't have kids. Like, I don't even have kids. So people were telling me, you don't need it because you don't have kids, but it still was a safe vehicle. Did I put money in the S&P into my 401k that was rocky? Yes. This was my safe vehicle in case the stock market just, we go through a depression like they did in the 20s. Like, I don't want to go, in case that happens, I need a safe vehicle. The safest vehicle is insurance because it's made it through every single thing. So that's all it is. You put your money in there and you'll have life insurance. God forbid you pass away. But you also have this savings account on steroids, like where you're making, you can make up to 12, 14% safe. Like in the stock market, it can go up and down. We all know what's going on with the stock market right now. I know I've lost 20%. It is what it is. But I also have my IUL, which is the safe vehicle. Even though the market has dipped, my money in there has just plateaued. Meaning if I have 100,000 in there, instead of it going down 80 to 80,000, I'm just staying at my 100,000. I'd much rather stay at my 100,000 than to dip to the 80,000. It just makes sense to me. And so I just want to show entrepreneurs there's a way you could put, instead of, I know you got to go for that, expensive dinner and you got to buy that Gucci belt and all that other stuff. But if you could just take $350, put it into something that's compounding, and then look up 10 years from now and have 100, 200, $300,000 that's just waiting for you. And if you ever want to pull from that, the greatest thing is that you can, and it's tax free. I don't know about y'all, but when you have to pay taxes, like Star said, the IRS is going to be coming looking for you. When you have insurance, if you pull that money, it's not looked upon as income, it's tax free. I love that. I love that it's liquid, like all of the things that you need in a vehicle. To me, insurance does for you. And so I think more and more entrepreneurs need to know there's an opportunity or a vehicle that where we can participate in the market without having to, give over the whole bank. So that's kind of a nutshell of kind of what I've been showing more entrepreneurs how to do, and they're loving it. And I feel like I'm doing God's will in that regard, like really helping them with their legacy.
That is something we should be shouting from the rooftops, because as entrepreneurs, we don't talk about health insurance, we don't talk about life insurance, and it's like it feels very like cumbersome and unsexy, but it actually is a really great way to invest. And like you said, it's protected, and we love a good recessionless industry, right? Like even in this economy, insurance is experiencing some spending because of like the natural disasters and things like that, but it ebbs and flows for them, right? And they can usually offset that by increasing their prices. Like the government cannot just increase your taxes to make up for losses, to pay for schools and things like that. So I'm going to ask you the same thing, because I just feel like, kind of similar to your ads experience, people try one thing, it doesn't work out. They're like, it just doesn't work for them. A lot of businesses, particularly small businesses, think that digital marketing is posting content and they're going to go viral and they're going to make $1 million, right? That's just not the math. Posting, it's usually like context, consideration, cash flow, right? So people usually have 3 layers of where they stay with relationship to you. We all have those people who follow you, love you, like, comment, subscribe, and won't pay a single penny for anything that you have, right? How does digital marketing for small and mid-sized businesses convert to wealth? So not just like a one-off thing. Like, what does it really do for your business?
Oh yeah, that's such a great question. So, and this is just marketing total. Like when you have a marketing system and a sales system, you can actually increase your monthly revenue. So if you're at 10K months, you can increase to 20K months, 30K months, 40K months, right? And it's all because of the system. So, like you said, there are some people who believe that if you just post your video, you'll go viral and you get all these people. Well, I've gone viral 4 times. Ask me how much money I made. Come on, ask me. Ask me how much money I made.
How much money did you make? Yeah.
$0.
Yeah.
$0. But I posted videos where I've gotten 300 views and I've made $1,500. Right? Like I've gone live and there's been a couple of people there and I've made $1,200 in that in 2 hours just from going live. Right? And so, like you said, not one off, but a system. Right? So, like I teach my clients a system. One of it is called Live Strategy, Live Sales, where you go live, you can generate at least 5 to 20 leads a week, and then from there, you can make money from your live videos by just offering your audience a low cost item, right? And so for me, my low cost item is my 5-day video challenge, Convert Content to Cash. Our VIP experience is $297. And so people will opt into it. 3 sales got me to $900 in just 1 hour, right? So some people, like, they may be selling something for $27. That's cool. Then you'll have to get more people in. But if I can just get 3 people to purchase at $297, I already made $900 in just 1 hour. That's what we talk about with the accelerated growth. But now imagine doing that twice a week, right? Now imagine doing that twice a week, 4 times a month, right? And so that's how, when you have a system that's set up like that, you can do that and continuously bring in income. But then you don't just stop at the low cost item. You now have a high ticket item. So once they come in through the low cost item, you upsell them to the high ticket item. So when I tell people, like, I sell 10K packages on TikTok, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm literally showing up, adding value to my audience, but not just adding value. Because here's the thing, there are a lot of people who are like, just show up, post educational content, encourage your audience, and like all of that stuff is nice. But if you don't know how to sell, you will be posting educational content until you're blue in the face. Like, selling is a strategy, especially on video. Right. And so for me, when I was making the money in my business and we were doing great, like we didn't even hit 6 figures yet. One of the first coaches I hired was a sales coach, because I wanted to know, what am I saying in my live videos? Catch this, in my live videos. It wasn't even my reels and TikToks. What am I saying in my live videos that's getting people to buy? And when I went through her program, I have a formula in my head now. So when I'm showing up live, it's not just add value, right? Like, I'm adding value. I'm helping my audience to make a buying decision. I'm creating an experience and an environment where they want to buy from me. I'm helping them to transform their hearts and their minds right there in that session. Oftentimes you can hear some business owners where they're like, I don't want to pretend and I don't want to perform. Throw that outdoor, throw that outside. Because Beyonce, when she's showing up, you think she like, I don't want to pretend and I don't want to perform. She got a whole other character when she's showing up, and sis sells out. So sometimes we can be in our own way because we're looking at social media like, oh, it's just social media and I don't want people in my business. But technically you do, because ain't that the point of your business? To get people in it, right?
Yes. Yes. And I want to answer like some fusion of that. My biggest obstacle I can remember was talking to people about sales, and people just being like, I don't want to be a used car salesman. I don't want to sell. I have to get people to know, like, and trust me, and all these things. And I listen, and I always reposition and say, like, do you know everybody who put a part in your car? Do you know everybody whose hands touched that food you bought from the grocery store? No, you don't. Like, it's a myth that they teach, particularly women, about know, like, and trust. It just slows you down. Imagine, like, just as a person, how hard it is to get up and be known, liked, and trust when you don't want to be bothered, right? And so one of the things that we do is we create an avatar, like how you were saying how Beyonce shows up. You create an avatar, a version of yourself that does this thing really well. And what we do with clients, particularly in revenue management, is to streamline how they show up and streamline what they're responsible for. Because there's like a hierarchy in business ownership. It is the employee. So when you first get started, you do everything, right? Then you become the CEO, you manage people. And then there's like that rare air of the spokesperson. So that's the person who you see, who shows up, talks about the business. They're at conferences. They are beyond leadership. They are literally the voice of the business. And that's what you want to do. You want to become the voice of the business. So it is still sales, but underneath that has to be a lot of processes. And so we figure out, how do we get you out of the CEO seat, which is having to have your hand in every little thing, and get you to be the spokesperson. And when people talk about they want these big businesses, I talk about like Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan. You think that he sees every paycheck and he knows every person? Absolutely not. Oprah. They say Oprah signs every check. Maybe. But I feel like that would probably take her hours. That woman is everywhere, and she is invested everywhere too. Um, you think about like even the Kardashians or anybody, right? Professional athletes. In order for you to make the kind of like delusional big money in sales, you have to figure out how you take your hand out of as much as possible so you can watch it, you can make data back decisions. So we, as best as we can, we create systems that grow your it'll grow your profile in front of your audience so you don't have to. We look at where you are, and most of the time I work with businesses. It could be a one person team. I have somebody who I'm working with right now. They have 10 different sites across the country, hundreds of employees, and they have the same silly logic as the person who is just one person. Oh, I gotta see this, I gotta see that. And I was like, sure. So when you over there spending an hour and a half nagging at people about the janitorial contract, what else could you be doing? Because that costs you maybe $25,000 a month, but you could be in meetings where you're making $250,000, $500,000. And so proportionally, it's just a bad use of time. And I think that when people think about sales and revenue, they think about a very linear thing. Pick this up, buy this thing, right? So we work really hard to get people to understand that there is no business without sales. There is no business without growth and scaling. And a lot of times, especially in 2025, I'm having very difficult conversations with people about what you did in 2025 didn't work. In 2023, remember 2023 was Clubhouse, 2022 was Clubhouse. It ain't over there no more for us, right? That's not a good way for me to prospect. Facebook groups. For me, I had a group with thousands of people in it. It does not work anymore. I tried and tried and tried. Oh my God, I tried. It did not work, right? Freebies. For what I do in my business right now, I could have 100 freebies. Nobody wants them because the person who I'm speaking to as a business owner is making business decisions. And so my checklist is not going to take them where they need to be. My ebook is not going to take them where they need to be. What does is like webinars and infomercials and little quick digestible videos that they can take away, given the transcripts of that video. Like that has worked so much better for me. And so in the spirit of sales, it's just like knowing that you relevant as a business, but also relevant with your sales practices. I went to a quick story. There's this store around my house. I love this store, but y'all, they still had a cash register where you press the button and then like the register has to come out. Then they have to put your receipt. I was like, fam, like this makes no sense. And so I was talking to them about getting a point of sale. They were like, oh, we don't want to take credit cards. It's too much fraud. And I was like, yeah, but people just drive past here and go to Starbucks because y'all living in 1980. Like at some point you have to catch up. And so things like that are the perception of the business. Like, yeah, it's cute, but people want a retro diner. People want a retro diner with a credit card machine, fam. Like, I don't know why y'all think that people want to, nobody has cash. You know what? I just went the other day and there was a homeless man who had a cash app. He asked me some money. I said I didn't have any cash. He told me he had a cash app. And I'm just saying that to say that I don't know where he got the cash app from, and I don't have cash app either. But the point is, they figured out that in order for them to get the help that they need, that they have to evolve beyond what they were doing in the past. And so, in the spirit of evolution, we have about 10 minutes left. And I want to take up space and make sure that I give you guys the opportunity to let folks know, because you're multifaceted, you offer lots of different value. And we'll go in alphabetical order, and I'll go last because I'll close us out. So let's start with Angelique. Who is the person who needs to be working with you? How do they know, and what's the first step they need to take to get to partner with you?
So the person that would work with me would be an entrepreneur, definitely an entrepreneur, and someone who has something to talk about, something to share with the world, something that you feel you do better than anybody else in the world. And I would help you to package that and to monetize it. And then for those entrepreneurs who just don't have a 401k, not sure what's going to happen in the next 20 years with regards to how you're going to retire, let's chat. Let's just put together a plan and we can see how you can execute it. And you know what? We could do that via a quick, I can send you a Calendly link. You can jump onto my calendar. It takes 10 or 15 minutes. I'm big on being very concise, and I'm big on other people's time. I don't take up a lot of people's time. And so you jump on my calendar, we'll chit chat, find out your goals, and see how we can execute your plan.
And would you say that it is best to reach you? Like, is there a link on your LinkedIn or? Okay, so the link to book a call with you, and anybody can book a call as long as they know that they
There's going to be a
qualify.
questionnaire.
Okay.
I can't talk to everybody, because it wouldn't be it's not fair for me to talk to everybody anyway if I can't help you, right? So I'd rather
Right.
you fill out the questionnaire just to see. I want the highest and best use of your time. Fill out the questionnaire. It'll tell both of us if we're a good fit. And then once we're on, you've already been prompted as to kind of the questions I'm going to ask. And we can kind of really just take it from there.
Wonderful. And so I want to ask you, Star, the same thing. Who is the person who should be saying yes to doing business with you? And people always say, well, I don't know where to get started. So what's that first step that they can take to start doing business with you?
Yeah, sure. So I have my link, which is Convert Content to Cash Challenge. That's our 5-day video challenge where you can learn how to create content that sells in 5 days or less. So, how you can post your videos on social media so that now you're positioning your brand as the authority and the expert. You are packaging your message with stories that's really attracting your dream client. And then you are producing a 6-figure strategy so that you're bringing people through your pipeline and converting them. You're presenting your offer confidently so that you don't have to feel icky when you're in your videos, when you're selling, and then being able to profit from the efforts that you're doing on social media so that you can actually scale your business from 6-figure a year to multiple 6 figures to even 7 figures. If you're at 7 figures already, but you really want to have a strong online presence and you yourself can't do it, send your VA, send your social media manager. We train them as well in the challenge so that now they can show up for you the best. I've definitely had social media managers come through, and then what we have taught them have helped their business owners to be able to completely to scale and succeed online now because they're actually doing the work for it. So that's what it is, the Convert Content to Cash Challenge. And you can go to contenttocashchallenge.com just to get access. We have 2 levels, our VIP experience and our diamond experience.
Well, that is wonderful. And so I will round us out. If you're looking to do business with me, a great first step is you are a revenue generating business and you are looking to scale. You realize that you need someone to take over the responsibility of managing the revenue. So, how you make money, what's working, what's not working, and facilitating over your sales cycle. So maybe you want to increase your lifetime client value. Maybe you're interested in scaling into new markets. Maybe you are launching a new product. I work really, really well in agribusiness, fintech, and financial services spaces. That's mostly where my clients come from. So you're somebody who's like, yeah, I'm a founder and I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to think about this. We are the agency for you to absorb that responsibility and or manage it for you so that you feel like you can focus on just being a technical expert, being the genius, and not having to worry about, oh, if I'm at this conference, is my back end still going to be working? Is this conference going to help me get me to my goal? We are responsible for ensuring that you are on task and on track to meet your goals. So that rounds us out. Ladies, thank you so much for participating today. It has been an absolute pleasure. And we got 5 minutes back.
Yeah. Hey.
Right. I so appreciate y'all. Angelique is at Netflix. I'm telling her business again. She is at Netflix. The Netflix. So I need some pictures of the inside if that's allowed. I want to know how it is
No,
over
they don't.
there.
You got to sign a waiver and everything, girl. They ain't letting you do squat.
Okay, well, take a
But when
picture in
you
your
come
head
to
and send it
LA,
back.
we will come here and have lunch.
Oh, listen, say less.
There
All
it
right,
is.
ladies, it's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.